Heart Matters. Heart Matters.
Welcome back to Heart Matters on KUTV. And just in case you're joining us, our topic today is on sex and cohabitation.
Remember to hit us up on our social media handles. Our Facebook page is Heart Matters. And also follow us on our Twitter handles, that is Heart Matters TV. And remember that today's hashtag is Kujinais. And we are going to sample some of the results at the end of the show. So,
Now, I want to understand better on this topic of sex and its relationship to cohabitation. As young people, you're doing this right, left, and center everywhere, and every time. Now, why is this the case? Why is sex such a factor in cohabitation?
I think, first of all, we all need to agree that there is no blueprint when it comes to sex. There is no particular way that we say, this is why people are having sex, this is why people are not having sex. What we have is factors that are used by different people in different circumstances.
Absolutely.
For having sex. Now, the biggest, but I will admit, is pressure.
Pressure from what now?
Pressure from
peers.
Peer
pressure.
It can be peer pressure. It can be financial pressure. It can be situational pressure. Basically, you're not having sex because you want to have sex. You have sex because you have to have sex.
So, Martin, are you trying to tell us that that you can be forced to have sex?
Not necessarily.
As a guy.
I'm not using the word force. I'm just using, let me use the word influence.
You're influenced to have sex.
Yes.
Just like you are influenced to have alcohol.
Exactly. You see, you can relate.
Actually,
I see where you're heading to right now.
Influenced by what? You're very young. I mean, our parents never actually even followed that route. There has to be other factors other than just peer and media that's actually pushing you to that.
Something that our parents probably grew up with that I would say we don't have now as the young men and women in this generation and the one after us is the stringent society guidelines, the communism, the community. Back then, actually, when I was a kid, for example, if I did something wrong on the street, Mama Nani will come and pinch me on the road, take me all the way to my mom and say, "Huyu alifanya hivi."
Yes.
The modern parent right now, anasema kila mtoto na mzazi wake na mashida zake. So the parent will see a kid doing something on the road and just leave it at that. Mama yake ndio atamshughulikia.
Sharon, I want just to bring you back to what Martin has said. Pressure. Girls are not very visual. We can't see a guy and just get, and we want to have him there and then. What pressure would be pushing a girl to sex and ultimately cohabiting with someone?
Okay, let me first say, I think girls also want guys. There's that guy you'll see and you're like, oh, yeah.
That is true. I have seen that a lot.
Yeah, we also have crushes.
Crushes?
Yeah, we see guys and we're like, wow, I want that one.
So what comes to mind when you see them? Okay, what brings that in mind?
I think for the girls, it's about the looks. You don't just have sex in mind. You just see the guy and he's like fly, maybe hot. You just want him, maybe even for just show off. You want your friends to see you with this hot guy, but it doesn't go to sex. Yeah.
I want to hear more from my audience, studio audience.
All right, this is a segment whereby we are going to pose the same kind of questions to the audience and see what they will have to tell us. So I believe you have one over there, that very gorgeous lady. What makes young people want to cohabitate and have sex, according to you?
I think it's out of the benefits you get from your mate. For example, for the men, just like Sharon said, if you have this lady who will wash your clothes, who will clean your house, who will cook your meals, when you come home from job, you find everything done, and at the end of the day, you'll have good sex, then you definitely will want to stay with that lady. For we ladies, most of the time, if you have a man, and this man is going to provide for for your needs. He will pay for your salon bills. He will take you to work, or something. He will shop and he'll just make you feel comfortable. He will also pay rent. You see, you will end up staying with him. It will definitely be an option for you. Yeah.
Let me ask you something. All right, how old are you?
I am 21.
21, you want someone to pay rent for you, take you to work. You're cohabiting at age 21 or even earlier. What kind of convenience is that? You're not working at that point. I suppose you're still in school.
I was not talking based on my
behalf.
experience.
Yes.
I was talking it was just an overview.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Judging from our answer, Martin and Sharon, what happened to love? What happened to love, really?
It all became
Love.
sex.
Yeah.
No, let me say something. Huh? You know, us ladies, okay, the ladies I know in the 21st century, we want to be dependent. We don't want men to provide for us. You get what I'm saying? So, like, you can find even in cohabitating, the chick provides for the guy. We've seen several guys driving and they don't work. Their girlfriends bought them cars. So I don't think it's all about providing. I think it's more on sex. But with time, you get used to the sex and you find there's no more sex. You live together, but you just come home and sleep.
Like
just
married
sleep.
couples do.
Yeah, you just sleep.
On this show, we have very important guests, as I mentioned earlier. We have Mr. and Mrs. Achoki, who in this segment, they'll be acting as father and mother, and they will also be our professionals. Welcome to the show, Mr. and Mrs. Achoki. You can wave from wherever you are.
Thank you.
So that we can see you. Now, you are parents, and then you realize your 12-year-old is actually having sex. What do you do?
Well, the first thing to do, or actually the initial reaction, you want to kill him or kill him.
Definitely.
That's the first reaction. But again, thinking through and coming to your senses, you begin to ask yourself, where did the rain start beating us?
Yes.
When did
Surely
things
beaten
go
you
wrong?
at that age, yes.
Yes. So that's what I want to ask myself. And I believe that many parents find themselves in that place because we parent our children the way we were parented, forgetting that we are in a different dispensation.
Yes.
Our children today are exposed to much, much more than we were exposed at that particular age. The children, a 12-year-old today is not like the 12-year-old I was.
Yes.
And so then we need to be aware of that and begin to also up our game as parents in the sense of begin to see how do we begin to talk to our children about these matters. When they're advertising trust condom in the TV, it's not the time to shut their eyes
And send them to bed.
and send them to bed. But to, again, begin to ask them and get to know what do they know at that age. And then at the age-appropriate level, tell them something. So you begin it gradually, probably from the age 9 or 8, depending on what they know, based on the answers they give you.
Yes. So as a parent, because we know we are not talking to our children, actually, at all. As Martin said here, we are leaving the media, the peers, to an experimentation as a way for them to know. We don't have societal responsibility that is used to be then. And I'm just curious, Madam Grace Achoki, a 12-year-old girl or even a university student in her first year, how would you then start guiding that child, into matters of sex? She's already engaged into it. It's not the time that you start saying stop, and you're not telling them the reason why they need to stop. How do we as parents actually approach this topic with our young ones?
Thank you. The first thing that you need to do is befriend your child. Because without friendship, it is very hard for you to penetrate the heart of the individual. So try and see, how can I get into the heart of this young girl? How can she be able to open up to me? And I always say this, for a parent, if you want somebody else or anyone who is in authority, if you want somebody to open up to you, you come to their level. in that you begin to open up about matters in your life.
Yes.
Because when they see that you're real and you're not just up there, then you're creating a safe environment where they can also share what is driving them into this act.
Is there a language that they understand? Because as adults, we have a very different language from our children. So then how do we break that so we can reach them?
Well, it's funny because you see when they are young, the language that they understand is the spanker.
The beating.
Yes, the beating. That is what they understand.
Yes.
That when I do this, then I will get a beating. But when they grow older, then you begin to engage them in another level. You begin to sit down with them, like what Barnabas is saying,
yes.
and you're watching that thing with them.
Yes.
And you're beginning to engage them at that level and seeing where is their mind. I know this person is already engaged. I cannot come and condemn them. Because once a child or a girl is condemned, what she will do is she will just drift away further. So I have to bring her close to me and see, how can I engage her? How can we go out together?
Absolutely.
You know, just saying, let's go for a walk.
Yes.
Don't condemn. Don't come hitting at them. But how can I go out with them? How can I invite them to the kitchen? Let's cook together. But you're not condemning them.
Yes.
Yes.
It is trying to connect with the child at their level. I believe that some of us have been there, done that. Huh?
Yes, of course, that is absolutely true. But then again, I have a question, Madam Grace. How can you approach, for example, I'm thinking in my own terms. My parent approaching me and then asking me, hi, Mogo, have you ever had sex? Is that even normal in our community, in our society right now? I don't think it is normal. And that is where the trouble comes. And that is why we have so many cases of even high school students engaging in sex. So how can you approach your 15-year-old child?
Even earlier than that.
Or even earlier, and then start a conversation on sex? How can you go about that? It's really difficult. But you can actually try as much as
How
possible
would
to
you
answer
even
that.
know they're having sex? Actually?
Yeah, how can you go?
I think this is where we go wrong. Assumption.
That they are
That
not.
they're not. Or that you'll be amazed at what they know.
Oh, really?
So I think for the parents, first and foremost, for you as a parent, is to have a paradigm shift. I know growing up it was a myth. I mean, sex, it's a taboo, not a myth. Sorry, a taboo. You didn't talk about these things. But in today's world, we cannot assume. And so for me, a good icebreaker is that advertisement. And just asking questions, not beginning to say, now, sit down, let me tell you about sex. No. It's just to, just to pick up their mind and say, okay, so what is that? What do you understand by that? And you'll be amazed at what they tell. Kids are very innocent sometimes.
Yes.
They will share some things. Or they come home and tell you, my friend told me 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, because they're very naive. For them, they're thinking, wow, it's a good... They maybe come home with a condom.
I'll tell you it's a balloon.
It's to tell you it's a balloon.
It's a balloon.
Now, that's a good place to start, yes.
All right.
So don't be shy, don't be ashamed. And I know as parents, and I've done that sometimes, you sweat bullets, but you have to do it.
The other day, a parent actually, and I'm throwing this back to you, she took her son's phone, and because we buy our children phones all the time, the kind of things she found on that phone, the drawings that the children, this kid is only a Form 2. He's sending to each other, their peers actually, on WhatsApp. The kind of music he's listening to, the kind of videos. Is that a way we should go to actually know whether our children are actually having sex? Should we pry on their gadgets?
Should we spy on them,
Yes.
in short?
It's not fair because there is something called privacy. And every time that you go and take a teenager's phone, maybe your son or your daughter's phone, and you go through it, you break the trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
You break the trust. And even if they are not doing it, they can have 2 phones and you don't know. So the one that is at home will be very clean. But there is another one that they are hiding somewhere that you will never get.
And you not get what they have.
You will
deleted.
not get what you're looking for. So it is wrong for you to do that. So what do you then do?
Yes.
The best thing, like what I said, begin to befriend them. Because we've forgotten, and I like what Martin said, in the beginning, we really used to have this thing of community.
Yes.
but we lost it somewhere. And part of that community thing was to get to know, how is this person growing up? What are the challenges that they are going through?
Absolutely.
So when you begin to befriend them, then they will not shy away from talking to you
Yes.
and telling you some of these
Yes.
things.
Absolutely.
And maybe just to add something on the community,
Yeah.
because sometimes as a parent talking to my own children may be a bit awkward sometimes. So it's to then have another parent, who can be able to talk to my child, an auntie, when you talk about aunties today, it's not necessarily my brother or my sister.
Yes.
The aunties we have today, and I like how the children call adults auntie. So they must be one auntie or one uncle that they're very close to. So entrust that person to be able to talk to them on your behalf.
Absolutely.
And gather information on your behalf, because there's a trust relationship between the two. But again, don't break that trust by saying so-and-so told me this.
Yes.
If I may also add something, I'd like to agree with Madame, but I have a point of departure. I have a point of departure. You're 12 years old. You're living in my house.
You buy the phone for me.
I bought a phone for you. Why do you need privacy?
Because
For who?
let me tell you something.
This is why I say that. The parent has a responsibility to the child till a certain age, okay? And that child, that's the other thing I was saying about parents choosing to be liberal and easy and cool. It is the fact that the parents who were before us were strict.
Absolutely.
That some of us have made it this far.
Absolutely.
That is why people never used to misbehave during those days.
Mogo, I believe you and me have been there, done that. And I'm just bringing you to a point of reflection. If you were to go back to it all over again, would you do it the same way?
Would I do it the same way?
Just hold that thought.
I'm going to hold that
Because
thought.
you'll be back right after this.
Hot matters. Hot matters. Hot matters.